Hello, folks. I greet you. Welcome one more time to another program in the series, Homo Politicus, which, as I always say, is a friendly octopus that claws at any and everything that tends to raise the national adrenaline. Today, hear this: 1 trillion naira spent to fight insecurity in 6 months in Nigeria, report reveals. You know, a former president of the United States of America, the 16th, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, JFK, famously said, let me quote him, "It's an unfortunate fact that we can secure peace only by preparing for war," end quote. You know, the question is, here and now, who's preparing for war? Well, the federal government of Nigeria is believed to have spent a whopping 1 trillion naira fighting insecurity in the first 6 months of 2024 alone. That's between January and June this year. Again, the rising tide of insecurity in the land has claimed more than 5,000 lives within the same period already. And for those who agree, it's put a price on human life. So is the sum too much, or is it just a question of the need for judicious use and accountability? Let's have a conversation, please. We'll meet and greet the conversationalists this morning. In no particular order, we meet and greet Dr. Mrs. Olabisi Deji Folutile. I greet you, ma'am.
Thank you.
She's joined by the effervescent Akin Fatunke. Akin, I greet you too.
I greet you, Susan Jones, and I say thank you to our viewers and listeners for tuning in.
Yeah, you know, the first thought that will, flood the mind of the viewer or the listener in this case is, why 1 trillion on national security? But gentlemen, you agree that national security is important and you spend money?
Yes, you have to spend money. And for me, even if it's 1 kobo, if it is 20 trillion, beggars the issue. The octopus, one of the wings of the octopus is accountability, and that the money is not going down the drain. If experience is anything to guide me in why I am saying this, within the last 23 years of our coming back to civil rule, it has continually been the fact that our spending, after being spent, it's gone down the drain. It's used for politics, it's used for political campaign. You find them in the gutters and the sinks, become so malicious. We have had people who have been downed from the plane, basically because they wanted to spill the beans. So that for me becomes a no-no. Still on accountability and transparency. Are these amounts appropriated? So you can say yes, appropriated. Look, how have they been accounted for? Are we spending more or we are spending less? And I know I might be sounding a bit mechanistic. When it comes to human life, there is nothing that can ever replace human life. Are we in a position to therefore say, with the security votes that go to subnational governments and the security votes that is available to the federal government itself, are we getting value for money? If you look at the US, or you look at USSR, or look at China, you may plus or minus say that you look at the scorecard, even if it is a minimal scale, you see a move forward. In our own case, What you see on the scorecard is all negatives, and the thing is not receding. Who is getting what? At the time we were going to spend on Tocano, again, the fact that we have not been a producing nation. All we need to get is imported. Our industrial complex, military industrial complex, is highly dependent, even though that is changing now.
Essentially, Mr. Fadonga, you are talking about financial prudence.
Financial prudence,
which involves managing our finances and resources in a careful, cautious,
on the side of that.
Ways.
Two coins I said. On the side of that is, are we measuring? Are we actually measuring the fact that we should be spending money on hardware? Than intelligence policing, making sure that our policing is well devolved to the states and to the grassroots level? Those are the questions.
Yeah, okay. Just before I go any further, viewer, please let me correct myself. John F. Kennedy was the 35th president of the US, not the 16th. The 16th, I'm sure you know, was Abraham Lincoln. Okay. Sister Bisi, usually poor governance will bring about doubts in accountability, which can culminate into a low pace of economic development. So trust deficit comes in here.
Yeah, I think if we look at our experience in Nigeria,
collective experience,
and let me even, in terms of that security aspect, in the last, I think, I can safely say 16 years, we've been confronted with diverse issues bordering on insecurity. We started with the Boko Haram insurgency that resulted in abduction, kidnapping of students, burning of public places, suicide bombings, and all of that. Later, it came to banditry and
cattle rustling and all that.
And up till now, for those who live in the northern part of the country, they are still confronted every day with these serious issues of insecurity, and to the extent that many of them had left their farms, because you now have to actually apply to the laws, the laws around the place. You have to pay taxes to criminals for you to access your farms and the rest, which is even one of the reasons we have food crisis. That we are experiencing.
Direct results.
Yes, direct results. And so insecurity has been a very big issue. But the interesting thing is that the government has also been pumping money at solving the problem. If you look at this 1-point-something trillion naira, is the highest budgetary vote to any sector that has ever been spent, even this year, higher than what was spent on economic development, higher than what was spent on health, higher than what was spent on education. Yet, for me, I will look at it that, are we curing the effect or looking at the cause? Because until we begin to tackle our problems from the foundation, we may not get any results. And I agree with him on the issue of accountability, because we are all overwhelmed by this problem of insecurity and everybody is seeking solution. We find ourselves just in a situation where government keeps pumping money, and we also got reports in the past of some generals building houses in Dubai, having properties across the world. You get it? And then nobody has been brought to book, nobody has been investigated. So the question of trust that you raised comes in. Do we really trust that all this money that we say have voted towards securing us. Mind you, we are not even putting money in anticipation of a war. No, that is not what this budget is all about.
Yeah.
It's about even securing
the
environment. So are we sure that this money is really doing the job? Because if it is, then we will not have a situation where every one of us seems to think that we have been overwhelmed by criminals.
Gentlemen, but let's get one thing clear here. The 1 trillion naira is not spent by the federal government alone. There are 19 states in the north. Security votes are given to each of the 19 states in the north. And the pertinent question is, here now would be, how much result can we say we have after spending this much?
I think this money we are talking about is from the federal government purse, because we are looking at budgetary allocation here, and it's saying that it's talking about the amount of money spent from the budget, the national budget. It is not the federal government that provides money for states. This is what you are talking about. The state's security allocation will be in addition to this amount of money.
RMAFC or something. Yeah.
That we are talking about here. So which even makes it look more suspicious. You get it? Because how many people can really claim to be safe with just government protection?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if in where you live, if you don't have private security guards. In my estate we have, and in almost every estate I see in Lagos, they have some sort of personal private arrangement with all these private protection agencies and the rest. So what we are saying is that whatever it is that is voted towards security, maybe as security votes, is really not getting to the bottom.
Yeah.
Such that all Nigerians can really say we are safe.
At this point, trust deficiency will come to mind, and if there's a trust deficiency, it is inimical to economic potential. If it becomes a culture, then we are damned, or so it seems. Don't you think?
Perception is stronger, much more potent than reality. The perception out there, whether from the economics, whether from the international donor agency, whether the democracy that we say we are practicing, which for all intents and purposes is not moving us anywhere, any direction. I like to say that from my private sector experience, if Nigeria were to be a PLC that I have to be
a limited liability company
to superintend over, it would have gone under a long time ago. So Nigeria is not viable. We have potentials. So please, we have potential. But Nigeria is not viable. And if we are spending 1.4 trillion, okay, so double that or to triple that because of inflation and devaluation, at the end of the year, how much are we earning? How much have we been able to earn? Should we not therefore be doing what I call intelligence policing? Okay. Even before we get in there, you see, the first mark of leadership is for you to raise your hand and say things have overwhelmed this country. Now, I am not going to politics. It's not a politics of which party or not which party. I am looking at Nigeria as a PLC. Nigeria as a PLC is not viable and is not moving towards the right direction. What is the cure? The cure is truth. In the private sector, Citizen Jones, I learned from very early you know, when we compete, it's like me and Olabisi competing in class, or, you know, competing for space. She's in a different department as me. I have to make sure I do all the things I need to do on time, on budget, so that, if you understand what I'm saying, to outshine her, so that when promotion is going to come and they want to put everything on fairness, I will be the one, and vice versa. We are in a situation where, if you look at the 19 states of the North, I don't have to go far. With the peaceful protest or non-peaceful protest that is going on, and the kind of scenes that I am seeing, will you therefore say that it will be money appropriately spent, or that we are just deceiving ourselves? So the truth, therefore, will be for us to say this 1 trillion, what have you spent it on? One. Secondly, I also know there are too many leakages, Citizen Jones. Those leakages, whether you are looking at it from the NNPC angle, what are we producing, what is being stolen, what are subsidy or no subsidy, there is a quantum amount of money that is extra budgetary that comes into it. For us to not then know what exactly are we spending on. I also am aware that when it comes to DSS, you know, secrets, you know, that not a number of above us, or, you know, clandestine thing that you have to do. You don't have to show it to the whole world. But there are people within the military that were able to say, yes, I can vouch for the fact that these are monies well spent. We had presidents in this country who, after their disagreements, we started hearing that from some of these, whether it's security votes or some of these leakages, they are buying cars for girlfriends. Well, obviously, I really sympathize with you because, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to be, but they don't buy those cars for their boyfriends. Oh, so I believe. So the whole thing is so skewed and so decrepit that we must begin to now say to ourselves, Citizen Jones, that spend 3 trillion, spend 4 trillion. We are now looking at security. We are not looking at the other sectors. We are not looking at the SDG 17s that is showing all red, that is taking and sinking our country.
Okay.
As we speak, we are not yet on our way to go. Okay, we are on our way to Golgotha, but I hope
we have not gotten there.
I hope we'll be able to get a cross that will take us there.
Okay. BC, you know, in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, if you remember, the American Congress came with the Patriot Act, and it took 10 long years to hunt the architect of the attack. So bring that here. The first attack, major attack of the insurgents anywhere in the country was at Chibok, if you remember, in, was it May?
2014 or so.
2014.
It was 2014 sometime, I don't know. Initially it was Buniyadi. February.
Yeah, well, the one that raised the roof was the Chibok girls.
That one to also raise the roof. They went into dormitories and slaughtered the children.
Yeah.
Okay, then we had the Chibok. So
and so you expected Nigeria to behave like the United States of America, since we claim we are aping that type of democracy. We didn't go after these people, or did we?
That is even too far. You are talking about 2014. It's too far. Let's talk about now. Okay. Just recently, this popular Gidon Yaki or whatever his name is, Daji, whatever,
Daji,
yeah, came out publicly, and the video is still there, mentioning a prominent minister that is still in this government as being their sponsor and the one that has been promoting insurgency and banditry. What has happened? Are they gone after this guy? Do they know them? Don't they know them? You see, our government knows all these, all the leaders of this.
Perhaps you are constraining me now. Let me take you back to the Obasanjo years. You remember that Mohammed Yusuf was thought to be the leader of the movement.
Yes.
No sooner had he
Being eliminated.
yeah, no. No sooner, just after he was brought to the national limelight, he was killed.
Yes,
and nothing has been done.
No, even that was a wrong killing, and Obasanjo said that because Obasanjo was still trying to even speak to him to get information.
Recall that two people former President Obasanjo met regarding Mohammed Yusuf were killed as well.
Yeah, so for me, I think we are not serious because it's like these people that we talk about that are behind these insurgencies have some powerful people behind them, and that they don't want them to spill the beans and the rest, and so there are. If you look at insecurity situation in Nigeria, I may be wrong, but you have this perception that some people are deliberately fueling this insecurity. They are behind them, and that is one of the reasons why even the faces we see that come out and say, yes, we are the ones that did this, we bombed here, we did this, that they are not being brought to book. And even the few ones that were arrested, we released them. We call them radicalization, de-radicalization, and all of that. And so you see our government bringing out criminals, forgiving criminals, and you now wonder and still voting huge sums of money to fight criminality. Is it that we encourage criminality so that we can get money? Money that
essentially,
we can
our sister is talking about fifth columnists. They are the real devil here,
Okay.
And added to the fact that we hardly punish bad behavior in this country. And that has become a culture.
I understand your concept of fifth columnists, but the people that are responsible are the first columnists. They are the ones inside government. They are the ones controlling government. They are the ones controlling who rules, who does not rule. After all, Yusuf that you're talking about, who says that Western education is sin. My heart was bought in by a politician to try and defend the indefensible.
The man became a senator.
And not only did he
brought him.
Become a senator, and then the guys, they were left on, and then they before then, after all, Abacha has said, I can tell you, take me to the bank, but we can't take me to the bank now because it's going.
I'm not preempting you, but that statement credited to Abacha cannot be independently verified. So
I cannot independently verify, but I know for sure that those who are sponsoring all the insurgents have their hands. She just talked about
essentially Abacha was talking about the enemy within.
Okay. So the enemy within is first columnists.
Fifth columnists.
Okay, well.
There are supposed to be 4 columns.
Okay, all right. Well, there are 2 sides and one that we can introduce. So this one now we can also. But on a more serious note, I hear you loud and clear. Even if Abacha didn't say it, not too long ago, we started the prosecution of criminals and sponsors of criminals. They were taken and booked outside Nigeria, and we could do nothing. And they gave us the names. Those names are how many of these criminals have been prosecuted, and we still know who they are. So Nigeria has become a boo-boo of unimaginable proportions. And if it is not possible, and I go back to the basic fact, if it is not possible that we continue, our tribes and tongue will continually be different, and we cannot see things within the same prison, we must sit around the table and decide, like others have done, to go a bit loose and know what we are going to put at the center.
Aki, Nigeria has become like the big elephant sized up by a supposed blind man, you know. So whatever side the man touched was that Nigeria of his imagination.
Oh, the blind man of Hindustan. Yes, you can say that again. And the way things are, we cannot account for. There's a twin in the industry I belong to. You know, the oil and gas. We have money, a lot of money keeps on going down the drain. I keep on wondering, like Babangida said at one point in time, it's surprising that Nigeria is still standing on its feet. Because on all sides, we are bleeding.
Standing on its feet, given the pummeling by him, I understand.
So, who therefore is going to prosecute whom? You cannot be asking people who have their hands, their legs, their nose, and every other thing that they take away from the state to just hand.
So, if you recall what Sister Bessie said a while back, we have refused to cure the cause, but going after the effect. Does this not tell you we are a long way from home?
No, we are far detached from even trying to be thinking of hope. Excuse me, Sister Jones. Going to orbit, remember? There has to be a link. The last one that had a woman in there, when the thing detached fully, no science or technology could bring them back. They went into space training even before they landed. Nigeria is fast decelerating into abyss, and unless our politicians and our community leaders and our religious leaders and the kind of education and indoctrination that we have, I keep on pointing to what is happening in the north. How much do you really think you will need to be able to curb what we are beginning to see in the northern part of Nigeria? That's not to say that the southern part don't have their own issues. So Nigeria is a vehicle that is knocked, but we keep on painting it to make it look as if it can get to the destination. We are heading towards Kuala Namoda, and we are saying we are coming to a point. We can't continue to deceive ourselves.
All right. Time, I'm told by the producer, is fast spent, so we must begin to go home. BC, you must plot the way home for us. What to do now? Because we must mold opinion and drop something on the table. What are we dropping now?
Well, for me, I think, like I said earlier on, we are not attacking the cause. You see, the army of out-of-school children in Nigeria, that is where we should start from. Educate these children. Educate these children. Educate them. You cannot you can't keep having the number of out-of-school children rising year after year.
But don't you think you are scratching a very hard surface now?
But that is the foundation.
Hold on, because the Goodluck Jonathan government built over 400 Almajiri schools. Those buildings are disused. They never were.
Yes, because Jonathan built them. You see, you can't profile.
Jonathan was the president.
I know. Let me finish. You cannot profile a solution to my problem if I, as an individual, do not recognize that as a problem. That is why you see those buildings getting out of use. But if as an individual, I realize that this is my problem, and that is the thing that the northern part of the country should come to. I've been hearing a lot of them talking along that line now, that they need to solve their problem. Like you rightly said, it's not as if the other parts of the country do not have their issues.
Secular problems.
But this issue of illiteracy, lack of education, which their leaders appear to be using for their own benefit, because you know that when people are enlightened, there is a limit to how you can control them. So to them, they withdraw education from these people so that they can further control them.
Because education is haram. Is an abomination.
So they say it is haram, but they send their own children to school.
Yeah.
And now, if you have ever visited Dubai, where it is 100% Islamic country, and you see the kind of life they live, and the way they send their children to school, you now ask yourself, what religion do we practice in Nigeria? Is it different from the normal Islam that is being practiced in Saudi Arabia?
Good. Busy, you know, by that reference, little reference to religion, one thing comes to mind here. It is what I got from the Israeli Wahala crisis. The man said, I told them I want to be Muslim but not Arabic. You know,
so there is a difference. There is a difference between being a Muslim and
being in your country, my country, busy. Some Muslims are thought to be infidels.
Okay.
Does it make sense to you?
It doesn't make sense. That is what is putting them in problem. And but you know what? These children that you refuse to send to school, you now think that you will be able to sleep. You will not be able to sleep because the north is breeding children of hunger and anger.
Wow.
And when you continue to breed children of hunger and anger, even you yourself, you cannot have rest.
Peace.
And for me, until the north takes a decision to educate its army of out of school children and allow these children to go to school to be able to think. It's not only Western education, even Islamic education is not wrong. Yeah. Let them have formal education. And after all this civilization we talk about, please, Citizen Jones, should Egypt, are they Christians? all the civilizations that we had in the world. So even the first university in the world is said to be created by Muslims. Yeah. So you cannot tell me that education is around.
But I'm sure you have heard about moderate Muslims and extremists. So the Sunnis and
the extremist Muslims in Nigeria, they are not even extremists in terms of their religious commitment. Right. They are only extremists in cheating and preventing others from having access to education so that they can continue to be in control.
Aki, I'm reminded in this connection of the statement credited to an English novelist, Jasper Ford. He said, let me quote, "Religion is not the cause of wars, but its excuse. But its excuse."
And landed with Karl Marx that says religion is the opium of the masses. Talking about religion, the way it is practiced elsewhere and our own, Fela Anikulapo Kuti comes to my mind. It's a Kolo mentality. You go grab something and then you dissipate it. Secondly,
Fela's father was a religious.
Dotun Ransom Kuti founded the BBHS. Look, point is this. At one point in time, two gentlemen, two statesmen arose in Nigeria, and one virtually was tapping the other and said, "Hey, good, let's forget our differences." And then the other one looked point blank and said, "Hey, we cannot forget our differences.
Let's know the differences.
Let's us accept the fact that we have these differences and walk around them." Referring to Nnamdi Azikiwe and the Sardana of Sokoto, Bello. It's still haunting us today. Nigeria is different countries, different cultures, different tribes. The earlier we come to terms and do away with this concept of Nigeria is not negotiable, we'll continue to
that's not the statement. Nigeria's unity is non-negotiable.
Nigeria's unity is not. Okay, maybe I can even add a twist that Nigeria's disunity is non-negotiable.
No. I am. Don't play on such. Please don't tease me here. Nigeria's unity is a popular saying. It is non-negotiable. You may tackle that one, but let's take this subject matter home now.
Many things that are happening in this country is not. I'm telling you, I never believed I was going to live to continue to see what we are saying. In Nigeria, we are saying disunity is what we are looking for. We can't.
No, that's what you are looking for. I'm not looking for that.
I said we, collectively.
Who are we? You have no right to speak for we.
Okay. Whether I have a right or I don't have a right.
You don't have that right.
But I have an opinion. My opinion is that Nigeria is moving so fast towards the abyss. And like Awolowo said in 1983, the ship of state was going to wreck. We already wrecked. We can't continue to play with what?
We are not.
Okay. Now, I am saying,
Akin is pleading freedom of expression, opinion.
Yes.
But I'm pleading freedom of thought. I'm thinking differently from him.
And you have a right to you have a right to have your thoughts. I also have a right realistically to make my opinion. I'm not pressing it on you.
Please don't.
I am making a statement that I've gotten to a stage in my life that I'm not going to continue to play with words. Nigeria is not united, and there are many reasons why Nigeria is not united, including our politics. Even right now as we speak, in Nigeria as we speak today, basically you are talking about the Northerners should go and find a way to educate their children. Who tells you that they are going to do that? We are different. So we should go our different ways and take a decision on what.
When they embattled 14th, or is it the 15th Emir of Kano, Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi,
yes,
spoke truth to the northern hegemony, northern power base.
Yes.
Nobody liked him.
Why do you think they will like him? Because they have made up their mind that is the way they want to go. Sheikh Sani is also saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, other people from the north that I know are already saying the chicken has come home to roost. Are they going to listen? All the things that we are beginning to see in the north that is going on. I schooled in the north. I knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going, but I didn't know it was going to be.
Did you speak out?
We spoke out in Ahmadu Bello University. Go and ask. Fast, we call it. Okay. We spoke out, but were they going to listen? Even in my own industry, we have been talking about the fact that Nigeria was going down on this subsidy or no subsidy. Did anybody try to listen?
I think we must end this show now. But don't forget, the news is that the government has spent over ₦1 trillion in tackling insecurity within the first 6 months of the year. We have talked about governance brings, poor governance brings about doubts, and we have mentioned trust deficiency in the country, and of course we have talked about religion, and so on.
Yes.
How do you take it home? Is it possible in 60 seconds?
Yes, it's possible.
Yeah,
let's come to reality. We have different tribes, we have different tongues. We need to come back and sit down. Stop when we spend 1.4 trillion. And we're going to spend about 3 of that before the end of the year, before we begin to see light. Nigeria is not working. I'm afraid, and we must come to terms that our different tribes and tongues. The only unity I see in Nigeria, whether you are different tribes and tongues, is when you're on the table, and that's the time you now then say you don't speak when you are eating. Nigeria is not going on that trajectory. I'm a God. I believe that we have the potential and we can change. But the political will and the discipline to go for that change is lacking. I pray I am wrong, like Obafemi said in 1983.
Bisi, can you do so? Same.
Yeah, I think our leaders should be sincere in the decisions they take. They should they should operate with the national in the national interest. They should also understand that whatever decision they take today will have implication for tomorrow. So if you are saying people should not go to school, or you encourage people not to go to school, know that at the end of the day, you are going to reap the repercussion. Yes, it may not be you directly saying it, but if you support any policy, any argument, any notion that points to that direction without taking a different action to combat it, then you are seen to be in support, and that kind of action will have its implication for Nigeria's future.
Very well said. Thank you. All right, folks. Our business is done here. We've molded opinion. The rest is left to decision makers. But let's thank Dr. Olabisi Deji Folutile for coming. Thank you for your time, ma'am.
Thanks for having me.
And also Aki Fatunke, we thank you too.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, folks, I'm out of here. Let's do it the next time around. On behalf of the Backroom Boys, this is yours sincerely, Citizen Jones Hussein, saying bye-bye now. Take care.
Enterprise